Well, like I said, this is the end of the liturgical year. So, in a sense, it's a little fitting that the message from our Lord here in the gospel is both eschatological, since it clearly says something about the end times, and it is also very directly practical for us in our everyday lives. Now, first, as he has indicated more than once in his preaching, our Lord is telling the people that the day will assault everyone who lives on the face of the earth. Now, no one knows when that will be, and our Lord suggests that for those who become immersed in carousing and drunkenness and the anxieties of daily life, they might be caught by surprise. And that's certainly true enough. Since there's no way to know in advance just when the end will come, the only practical advice is to be ever prepared. Now note the two pillars of our Lord's counsel. He warns against both carousing and drunkenness, so in other words, against frivolity, and against the anxieties of daily life. And that's the one that might be a little harder to take, especially when the anxieties of daily life can really be so life-consuming. But I don't think our Lord is telling us to ignore completely the anxieties of daily life. For one thing, that's probably for most of us impossible. Instead, I think our Lord is doing the exact opposite. He's inviting us to place those anxieties in the context of what is to come at the end. So as we try to cope with those anxieties and to manage our lives as best we can through them, we're invited once again to remember that our Lord is truly with us through everything, and to remember that nothing in this life exists for its own sake. Everything about this life is part of preparing us for the next. So even the trials can be part of preparing us. They're painful, obviously, but they can also be purifying. Just like the purification of gold ore into pure gold. The flames are hot, but once the dross is discarded, the final product is spectacular. And sometimes that's what it's like in our own lives when we go through some of these difficulties. It's part of helping us let go of the things in this life that are distracting us away from God. So our Lord's advice for our everyday lives is really fairly simple. He says, be vigilant at all times and pray that you have the strength to escape the tribulations that are imminent and to stand before the Son of Man. Once again, he's reminding us simultaneously to place our trust in him, pray, he tells us, and to prepare to stand before him, both at the end of our personal earthly lives and at the end times. By doing the former, by preparing to meet him at the end of our earthly lives, we will ensure the latter, to be prepared to stand before him at the end. This is, as I said, the last gospel reading of the liturgical year, and tomorrow, the first Sunday of Advent, will begin a new liturgical calendar. And the gospel tomorrow is yet another warning to be prepared. So don't be surprised when you hear that. So I want to close with this. The church opens her liturgical calendar every year with Advent. And the term Advent means roughly in Latin, towards or in the direction of the coming. In other words, we will be moving towards the day of the coming of Christ into the world. And to be best prepared to receive him at his coming, Advent is an ideal time to take some stock, do some reflecting, and make real resolutions for whatever in our lives needs attention or focus. Maybe go to confession. We are not, of course, to ignore the everyday concerns of life, like paying bills, dealing with caring for the needy, if we're still a student, dealing with classes and exams. I know that fully well because I just graduated in May from grad seminary, so it's still very, very fresh in my mind. But we're also not to ignore our relationship with God in the process. In fact, if we address the everyday concerns for God, that actually is an excellent way to prepare. Advent is indeed a perfect time to remember that and to work on what needs attention in our spiritual lives so that we can prepare ourselves to be the best birthday gift we can be and bring that to the Christ child on Christmas morning. And so with that, I will extend to everyone my best wishes for a blessed and fruitful Advent season.